Good evening, this is Parrish with Coffee Break. Today's message will be titled, Stand Saved During These End Times. The message will come out of 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 1 through 10. For as much then as Christ hath suffered for us in the flesh, arm yourselves likewise with the same mind, for he that hath suffered in the flesh hath ceased from sin, that he no longer should live the rest of his time in the flesh to the lust of men, but to the will of God. For the time past of our life may suffice us to have wrought the will of the Gentiles, when we walked in lasciviousness, lust, excess of wine, revelings, banquetings, abominable idolatries, wherein they think it strange that you run not with them to the same excess of riot, speaking evil of you. Who shall give account to him that is ready to judge the quick and the dead? For this cause was the gospel preached also to them that are dead, that they might be judged according to men in the flesh, but live according to God in the Spirit. But the end of all things is at hand. Be ye therefore sober, and watch unto prayer. And above all things, have fervent charity among yourselves, for charity shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. And verse 10, as every man hath received a gift, even to so minister the same one to another, as good stewards of the manifold grace of God. That is 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 1 through 10. Basically what that chapter is saying is that as we approach the end times, that the enemy is going to do all that he can to make God's people fall from grace. That is including pastors, preachers, deacons, deaconesses, ushers, you name it. Every person that has a calling or a position in the church will be a target of the enemy, because that's his job, to kill, steal, and destroy. And is obvious not only in the media, but also in the church. So we have to realize when we're dealing with the enemy, and we have to be careful of the company that we hang around. We gotta keep our mind in the word. Feed the spirit, not the flesh. Because the more we feed the spirit, the more spiritual fruits we will reap. But if we feed the flesh, then that's when sin takes place. So we have to be very careful and not let the enemy come into our path in order to deter us from doing the will of God. And it's a daily battle. It's not something that you can just overcome overnight. You have to stay awake. You can't sleep. Like when Jesus, before he was getting ready to be turned over to the Roman soldiers, he told the disciples, pray. He said, stay here and pray until I come to you, come back. And the disciples went to sleep. And 3 times he went back, and they were asleep. So we cannot let the enemy let us go to sleep. And when he knows that we're sleeping, that's when he attacks us. And sometimes, we go into a deep sleep, sometimes, it's hard to, wake up. So we can't let the enemy do that to us. We know that his mission is nearer to an end, but he's taking a lot of soldiers down. A lot of strong saints are going down because they've fallen asleep. So my brothers and sisters, what I'm trying to do is encourage you today is stay awake. Don't let the enemy catch you sleeping. Sometimes I have to work night shifts, and sometimes it be hard around 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. But I know around that time, it's possible that my supervisor may come and see whether or not, you know, I'm alert and everything. So you gotta stay awake. Sometimes you might have to take a couple of cups of coffee, or in the case, you might have to read a couple of verses of the word in order to defeat the enemy. But don't let him catch you sleeping. Stay awake at all times, you know. So that's what I want to encourage you. Just stay awake and stay prayerful. And remember, take one day and one victory at a time. God bless. Until next week. Amen.